Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SimPlay Motorsport. My name is Dan Davis, and I'll be bringing you all the action once again live here at the Nurburgring for the 7th, is it 7th? No, 8th round of the championship, and we're well into the back end of this season now, and we come to one of the most iconic circuits in the world, in Germany. And we are looking forward to this one indeed. Obviously not the full Nordschleife, we've only got the GP version on here. We do have the Nordschleife available, but we as a SimPlay community do not think it's the best circuit to go racing on, especially in our format at the minute. We do obviously have our endurance race where we will be back to raise money for cancer as well, so make sure you see what goes on with that one as well, all in the Discord and so on and so forth. A little poll going out at the minute, whether you like this circuit or not, but we are live and ready to go GT4 racing. Let's hear you guys in the chat. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Currently, Jamal Clouden setting the pace in his Chevy Camaro ahead of Kieran O'Reilly from Silth, McGowan and Skunky, your top 5. Currently at the minute, Gary Clarble, your fastest bronze driver at the moment, with Rami Fernie once again being the top silver driver at the minute, setting the pace. So let's have a quick look through at this fantastic circuit that is the Nurburgring. The Nurburgring, a circuit that is 3.1 miles long. In kilometers, that's 5.1, and there's 15 corners, 6 to the left, 9 to the right, and the pole position will start on the right hand side. The ACC lap record is a 1:52.11, set by the McLaren 720 S GT3 Evo, and your most successful driver around here is myself, and a fantastic nonetheless. This circuit is brilliant. It's always produced some great racing, especially in Formula One context, and it's the home of Mercedes-Benz as well, the Mercedes area, so hopefully some of the Mercedes drivers will be able to do something with what they've got underneath them. But a few other facts about this circuit. Jackie Stewart nicknamed the circuit the Green Hell, obviously the Nordschleife itself. It's well, the Green Hell was obviously very famously known. It's probably the main reason people come to Germany and to the Nürburgring is to go around the Green Hell. But like I said, sadly, we are racing around the GP version, which a couple of seasons ago in Formula One was a major incident going into turn number 1, where the rain just hit so heavy that pretty much every single car that arrived to turn number 1 just skated off. So when it rains here, it does rain pretty hard. But nonetheless, it is a fantastic circuit to race on, and very tricky to overtake. There's only going to be a handful of overtaking opportunities. Let's see if we can get a couple of them as well. Let's go on board with Tordok for a lap around this fantastic circuit. As he exits the final corner, we go down the main straight, and obviously if you get a good exit out of the final corner, this is one of your prime opportunities to overtake. Get into the slipstream and then head down towards turn number 1 into the Mercedes area, break at the 100-meter board and try and get the front end to turn in as soon as you possibly can. Probably your best overtaking opportunity as you then go into the tricky infield section into turn 2 and let the car run wide out to then open as much as possible into turn 3 as it comes tighten, gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and then open up to turn 4. Take as much curve on the inside as your car can take. Have a good exit out of the final corner, and then head down toward, sorry, not the final corner, out of the final section of the infield, and then head down towards turn number 5. You can carry a lot of speed into there, which then slings you into 6. Make sure you don't take too much curve. A little bit of banking around most of this circuit, and get a good exit out of 6. Long run now down towards 7. You can take this in numerous different ways. You can hug the inside, or you can run it out wide as Tordok has done and do a V shape, get a good slingshot, get a good exit out of the final out of that corner, and then heading up to the Schumacher S's, up on the curb, lift on the brakes, turn it in, flat through the rest of it, and then a good run through the S's there. 7 and 8 down to 9, break at the 100-meter board again, break down 2 gears, get it turned in, turn 9, then lead straight into turn 10, And once again, get the front end to grip. Once the front end does grip, then you'll head down towards the back end of the circuit. Normally, on other circuits in the past that we've ran, we've had the very slow chicane, but on ACC version, we have the very fast-flowing chicane, and into the chicane we go. How much speed can you take into it? That is the question. And then after all that, you come up to the final corner, hug the apex as much as you possibly can, get a good exit out of the final corner, and then make your way down to the line. And that is a lap around this fantastic circuit, and that Tordok puts him up into P6 after that. So there's a quick rundown of that circuit for you guys, and a brilliant circuit nonetheless. The championship standings, though, is looking like this. Let's come away from Tordok and let's go on to someone a bit lower down, shall we? Let's go on board with Johnson. We haven't seen him in a while. Nice to see him back on the track. But the championship standings is looking like this. Kieran O'Reilly is leading away with 74 points to his name ahead of Tordok. Silt in P3 with Clouden in that P4 position. P5 is then Will Friedman, with P6 going the way of Hooper. Duffin still sat in that 7th place position, just ahead of McGowan, with Hibbs sat in P9. P10 is Carlos, with Wright in P11. Ramsell in P12, with Leach sat in P13. Fernie down in 14th place position with Skunky in 15th. O'Brien sitting in 16th place position with Stardog in 17th place. Dan Taylor 18th, with Old Sim Racer in 19th. Millington in 20th, while in 21st is Smith. 22nd is Goudet, with Tipping in 23rd. Vesely in 24th. With Aberdeen 25th, 26th is Unsworth, and Rook in 27th. Johnson in 29th, with Clarble 30th. Marsden in 31st, while 32nd is Cummings. Archer is in 33rd position, with Wheel sat in 35th. 36th is Marshall, aka Lexi, while the Jackal is sit in 37th. Betterson in 38th, and a new driver, Skeen, has joined us tonight as well, as I believe he might possibly be... I don't think I've seen him yet. Storrock is obviously racing tonight as well. I believe this might be Skeen there, possibly. I'm not sure. No idea how I'm going to pronounce that. So whoever that is, I'm going to really that looks, yeah, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that, because I will get that very wrong. So whoever that is, I apologize. I'm not going to ruin your name. But yeah, that's the championship standings for the drivers. Regarding the teams, it is looking like this. It is MSA still leading the way, only 84 points ahead of Greasy Bandits in second. Old School Racers are still in third. Fourth is SimPlay Racing. Unknown Racing is in P5, with Competizione Motorsport in P6. Cam Racing in P7. But then it comes the guys who are mathematically out of the championship. Team Tom are out of the championship, as is Blunt Force Racing. And then we have Piston Pounders in P10, Piston Pumpers at 11th, while Road Runners Motors are sat in P12, Audio Sport P13. 14th is Star Wolf Racing, Old Git Racing in 15th. 16th is Lexi Industries Racing, and RBGT Team bringing up the rear. And that is that, as Jamal Clouden has now lost the fastest lap of the session to none other than Will Friedman in his Porsche. Majority think that this circuit is okay. In my books, this is probably one of my stronger circuits, and I do go relatively well around here. It's definitely a circuit that rewards patient drivers. But nonetheless, we should see some interesting and close racing, as now McGowan has now gone fastest of the session, as we're currently on board with your championship leader. And obviously the way the GT4 works here is obviously we have a practice session that the guys are currently going through at this minute. We'll then go straight into the sprint race. The sprint race has already been set a grid for that, as it is a reverse grid of the championship standings. Once that race is then completed, only 20 minutes of that race with a pit stop required. Once that race is then completed, they will go into a 10-minute practice session, which will allow the drivers to have a break, grab some food, get a drink, whatever they need to do to prepare themselves ready for the feature race to come, which will go straight into a qualifying session. The qualifying session is only 5 minutes long. It's pretty much a one-shot quali, in, out, and see what you can do with that one lap time. Once that's done, we then go into a feature race, but for the GT4s, it's not an hour, it is 45 minutes. And again, a pit stop is required from these guys within that 45-minute race. And again, 1 litre of fuel must be added. A tyre is an option, that will add an additional 5 seconds. The only other unique thing we do with the GT4s is the GT4s do not have a BOP. And with the BOP, obviously, we'd have that in the GT3s. The cars will be leveled in performance so that it's an all-rounded championship. In this case, the BOP works as a success ballast. And as you can look on the timings in the far right-hand side, drivers carry that ballast throughout the race. And as I say that, O'Reilly has now gone fast as he now carries the full ballast as he's the championship leader. He carries 40 kilos on board his car. McGowan's got 5. While Friedman's got 20, 25 for Clouden, 30 for Silth, 35 for Tordok, 15 for Hooper, and then 10 for Stardog. And it basically goes from 40 kilos all the way down to 5. So I think it's the top 8 of the championship all carry that ballast. So thinking of it like a British Touring Car Championship, if you have seen the British Touring Car, they used to run success ballast. They add weight to the car to slow the leading car down. And in this case, we think the leading car would be slowed down. But as you can see, O'Reilly is taking a lot to slow this McLaren down. Nice to see you in the chat, Gary Clarball, currently the fastest bronze driver at the minute, and well and truly in the mix with the pro guys. Well, I say pro, the gold drivers or the platinum drivers, whatever you want to call them. He's well and truly up in there as well. So come on, guys, let's hear from you guys in the chat. The chat is very quiet at the minute, and while I'm also got this opportunity, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell to be notified so you don't miss any of the action here at SimPlay Racing. We are coming towards the end of this season. We're in the back half of this season. We were talking about a World Tour, but I doubt that's going to happen now just due to the number of levels that have dropped in the pro category. So we may resort back to a 12-season championship. So if you are a Patreon, get yourself re-signed up to that, because obviously Patreons get an option of what circuit they want next season. But also, we do like to make sure that continuous repeated circuits do not get added in. Everyone's coming to the end of their session here. We've got a lot of drivers here tonight. We got up to 28 cars indeed. I'm beating you in the championship. There's some chat. Thanks, Ben. Thanks a lot. So, thanks, man. Just enjoy that while you can, because I think you're going to struggle with beating me here, I'm afraid, mate. But nonetheless, you have been doing a fantastic job in the pro. Most of the guys are now back into the pits. Chris in the chat, my messages is unimportant. I know you're obviously going to be supporting Matthew Duffin, who he seems to be struggling at this part of the season. He's really the defending champion, not able to really take the fight to the MSA boys, and O'Reilly, Clouden, all those guys as well. It's just not been in his he hasn't been lucky this season, and it's just not panned out the way he wanted to. But nonetheless, it just shows how competitive our GT4 championship, and across all of our championships as well, GT3 Pro and Pro-Am have been incredibly competitive as well. In the description as well, guys, is our fantastic sponsors as well. If you have a look in there, our sponsors of Design Manchester and Audio Sport. Design Manchester, producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, printed clothing, and much, much more, including SimPlay merchandise. Head over to their Facebook page to find out all that wonderful information. Audio Sport, manufacturers of VW, Transporter, T4, audio solutions and styling products. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk and they got a Facebook link there as well. And if you want to keep up to date with what's going on at SimPlay Racing, then SimPlay Motorsport, sorry, I am trying to stay on top of the Instagram as much as I possibly can, but nonetheless, have a look at our Facebook group, our Instagram page, and if you do want to be a part of the action here at SimPlay Motorsport, then head over to the Sim Grids, get yourself signed up, get yourself a part of the championship. We have a great group of guys here, great banter. Usually we end up in the Discord together and get to have a good chat with one another. So yeah, feel free to do all those wonderful things, and yeah, get yourself signed up and be a part of the action. And I've talked enough rubbish so far, and let's see what else is in the chat. Ben, I've got no chance this race unless your car stops working again comes race day. I probably have some form of reason why. I'm trying not to test too much so I don't get to myself in my head, but anything can happen, Ben, you know that for sure. Will Friedman in the chat saying yo yo yo. We got Chris as well. Come on, Matt. 7th though. Top 10 is good. It is good indeed, and he just needs to stay out of trouble, does nothing. Pick up the pace there, pick up the points where he possibly can. Kind of do a again, another touring car reference, an Ingram, basically. Just pick up the points where he can and just work his way through the championship, especially possibly come into a new season possibly with a fresh mindset. And again, we don't even know if the GT4s are going to make a return. The GT4s may have a break. We might bring in something new, something different. You know, maybe we talk about a Porsche Carrera Cup season, you know, Porsche Super Cup. I don't know. Anything like that, as pretty much every driver other than a handful of cars are in the pits, and that is Starrock and Lexi. So we'll go on board with Lexi for a minute. Luckily, I didn't practice for this one, says Will, and usually when you don't practice, Will, you tend to be relatively rapid anyway. So yeah, I actually never practice. Exactly, that's exactly my comment there. Yeah. I may say the Porsche does feel pretty good around here, whether if it's the small one or the big one. I can definitely answer that one, but yeah, let's hear from you guys in the chat. There's 15 people currently watching. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you hit that bell so you do not miss any action here at SimPlay Motorsport. And as I keep reminding you, May Bank Holiday weekend is the our endurance race, our kind of fight against cancer. Team FBR and SimPlay Racing coming together. SimPlay Motorsport, sorry, coming together to try and take on the challenge of the Nordschleife and the Green Hell, and basically try and raise as much money as we possibly can for the raising money towards cancer research. That's being led by Paul Williams, and as I said, make sure you have a look at the Discord when that goes live so that you know exactly when to sign up. It's going to be an awesome event, and yeah, so it should be good to see. We're in the chat saying found the pace in the first flying lap, but for some reason weird to see Tordock off the pace here. I mean, he is carrying a little bit of ballast. He's carrying 35 kilos on board, so that's probably not going to help him that much either. But nonetheless, we shall see how all these guys get on. We will get the grid order going up in a few moments' time as well. So we are looking towards our first sprint race of the week. Reminder as well that Pro-Am will be tomorrow night. That will bring the action with Alexi. She'll be bringing you all the racing action from the Pro-Am night and see how they all get on. And then the pros back again on Thursday night with Matthew Duffin and Kelly Davis bringing you the action there as well. As the guys now get their cars switched on and ready to go racing, and I'm about to get the grid order about to go underway. So as they now pull away, a driver has not made the start. That is Will Friedman, possibly too busy messaging me, and Starrock as well did not make the start. Lexi just a little bit gingerly got going there. So well done, Will. Fantastic stuff. So here is the grid order for tonight. On the front row, it will be Alexi and Will, who will start on the front row of the grid. Running alongside them will be Archer and Cummings for the second row. Third row will be Marston and Clarbel in P5 and 6. P7 and 8 will be Johnson and Aberdeen for 7 and 8. And then we go to row 5. 9 will be Tipping and 10th will be Smith. And then we head to row 11, which is Millington. Row 6 will be Millington and Taylor alongside one another. Stardog will be in 13th, and then you've got 15th place division Fernie, and then you have Ramsell. Wright will start in 17th, while in 18th is Carlos. 19th will be Hibbs, and McGowan in 20th position. Hooper will start 21st, and 22nd would have been Will Friedman, but he's missed the race start. He's done a me and forgot to actually hit the ready button. Clouden 23rd with Silth in 24th. 25th will be Tordock. 26th will be O'Reilly, and that is the grid order. We got Eskeen in the back, Starrock as well to the back as well. With the new drivers, Old Sim Racer dropping to the back of the pack as well, and Zanamvor, I'm going to try, drops to the back of the pack as well. Gary Leach, if he makes it, will be to the back of the pack as well. So that is your grid order. Let's see if any of the drivers had turned up. I want to pronounce the Z, but I'll probably will get it wrong. Zanavord. Whoever it is, they'll probably end up telling me how to pronounce it correctly, and then we won't have too much of a problem there. But we're about to go racing for the first time tonight, ladies and gentlemen in the chat. Make sure you hit that like button, because this is going to be fast, this is going to be intense, and this is going to be very, very quick racing. Will Friedman's got a long wait to to see the cars coming back round. It's not nice not making the start, is it, Friedman? I know at Kyle Army it really frustrated me, and it gave me a bad omen. But nonetheless, we are now coming into the final few corners. I went to options menu, it teleported me to the pits. Lol. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But we've got Lexi and Will for the front row of the grid. Let's go helicopter cam as we get things underway here. Come on, guys, smash that heart button as well. That's in the chat. If you do want to donate as well, there is a donate button as well to the channel. We do as much as we possibly can to give you the best action here at SimPlay Motorsport. GT4's Germany, Nurburgring, and round 8 of this season, as they now get themselves prepped and ready to go. Race 15. And already Wheel has dropped down the orders. We now wait for the green, and we are go here at the Nurburgring. Lexi gets a decent start as they all start to work their way down towards turn number 1. Wheel in that Audi has got a very good straight line speed, but you can see Lexi getting swamped as Clarbel goes down the inside, and already there are cars off. That's Ramsell hitting Millington, and there's cars everywhere. And once again, as they all manage to work their way through the first couple of corners here. Stardog is one of them that had been caught up in the incident, but it is Lexi who leads the way, and there's still cars everywhere. You can see there just all the cars bunched together, going bit by two by two. We got Clouden and Tordock, I think they're close to one another, but Clouden's had a brilliant start here and has worked his way up the order relatively well. But it's Lexi leading the way ahead of Clarbel. Behind. Clarbel looked very strong in the free practice session, so we'll see what he can do when he gets a little bit more of an opportunity to get past Lexi. But nonetheless, she leads the way with a comfortable gap with Clarbel behind her. And then you got the rest of the pack coming down towards the far end of the circuit, and that is Skunky up the inside. Another driver to keep an eye on. He starts further out. That's McGowan going wide as he tries and gets himself back on circuit, with everyone else just falling into position, and Wright's trying to go around the outside of Duffin and just has to fall into formation. But other than the first corner, relatively clean by everyone else. And there you can see O'Reilly, the straight line from that McLaren is mighty, and he can't find a way through because he's currently got Tordock and Wright battling hard as they now come to the far end of the circuit. Wright possibly had a slow exit there and is now under pressure. We can see there's Stilf as well looking to attack Hibbs. Hibbs all over the outside of the circuit. Hibbs Stilf had to go onto the curb. And who is that? That is Smith dropping down the order. As they all work their way through the first couple of corners. But it's Clarball leading the way. Where's Lexi gone? There she is. She's made a mistake and has also dropped herself back into the pack ever so slightly as they now come down the main straight. But it's Clarball now lead the way from Aberdeen, from Wheel, from Archer, and then everybody else. We've got Skunky, Hooper, and Carlos. And Hooper goes down the inside of turn number 1. He's going to get the job done there. Skunky just in the wrong place at the wrong time. He's got Archer right in the way, and Skunky has had contact with Jamal Clouden. And so those two coming together. Oh, and Fernie and Duffin door banging there. And around the outside goes O'Reilly, and Duffin drops down the order once again. And Kieran O'Reilly trying to work his way up the order as quickly as he possibly can, while Tordock has dropped down the order himself, so he's been in a little bit of trouble also as he tries to work his way through Smith at the minute, but can't seem to get the run that he needs to get a little bit of momentum over the Aston Martin. Archer, meanwhile, has dropped behind Clouden, Skunky and Hooper. Oh, that is Wheel. And Wheel has had a moment. He's in the middle of the circuit, and everyone coming out of the corner there. And oh, Hibbs has gone on his side there. As everyone tries to avoid the incident there, that is Wheel making a major mistake as Friedman now comes through and everyone else possibly carrying damage. This might give the lifeline that Clarball needs, as Aberdeen's now in second, Hooper in third with Carlos in fourth, with Skunky in fifth. Then you got Archer from Fernie, from O'Reilly, Duffin, Wright, Clouden, Marshall, who's dropped down the order, so it's Ramsell now ahead of McGowan, who's been passed by Tordock, Smith. Then you got Lexi, and then you got this gaggle of cars where you got Sylph, Stardog going at it, Michael's there as well. That's Millington trying to go around the outside. And we've got Will Friedman now just onto the back of this pad, just passing tipping there, and Will's back to the pits. Hibbs with major damage to his car. Hopefully by the time he gets to the pit lane, the pit window will open. But Skunky is a man on a mission. He is on the back of Carlos, and we'll see what he can do with that Mercedes-Benz, the leading Mercedes-Benz at the minute, as Raimi Fernie is in the slipstream of the Chevy Camaro. And down the inside he goes. Archer's going to try and keep it strong around the outside. Can't do so, and O'Reilly's just ahead of Duffin there. A car's gone wide, that's right. And Archer still holding it strong. The Camaro, quite a big car to get past, and down the inside goes the 640S of O'Reilly. He'll get that job done. Duffin now trying to go with him. And around the outside goes Duffin, and job done. Has Hibbs got to the pits just at the wrong time? I think he probably could have just coasted it in, and he probably would have got away with it. Aberdeen, meanwhile, setting fastest lap of the race, and Clarball not really gaining much on it. Now Aberdeen in that Ginetta has got some serious space as Hooper goes down the inside of the hairpin. Oh, the back end steps out, and Aberdeen looks to come back up the inside. Oh, and he can't quite get the run that he needed, but Hooper will hold on to that position. Archer, meanwhile, falling down the order even more as he's now going to lose a position to Ramsell. And just behind them is McGowan and Tordock, who seem to be having a great little squabble at the minute, over towards the S's. Down towards the left-hander. Who's going to opt to pit this early? Meanwhile, Hooper is going to try and do everything he possibly can to try and catch Gary Clarball. Meanwhile, Carlos is on the move. He's now trying to pass Aberdeen. Up the inside he goes, and Skunky is going to want to go with him. Aberdeen nearly hitting Skunky there as they come up to the chicane, and Aberdeen thinks better of it and pulls out of that one. Oh, and Aberdeen has his own moment. Catches the curb, and Fernie's going to catch him at some pace, but not enough to really do anything to Aberdeen, as Duffin still trying to stay with O'Reilly. Clouden has come in, Ramsell stays out, Tordock staying out. McGowan's coming in. And a few other drivers. Johnson goes off wide. Silth is in, and he's got to repair the damage to that car. We'll keep an eye on Millington as well. Friedman, because he is going to be a man who's going to be wanting to hunt down as many places as he possibly can after starting from pit lane. At the minute, Clark's got a healthy gap of 3.6 back to Hooper, so as long as he can hold on to that position towards the end of this stint, then it's going to be looking quite pretty for this one. Skunky, meanwhile, still giving Carlos a hard time, as Aberdeen has been passed by O'Reilly. So has Fernie, and Aberdeen also trying to do his very best to keep the fellow Ginetta behind, and Fernie has hit Aberdeen. Aberdeen goes off, and Duffin gains out of both of that then and gains 2 positions. So Remy Fernie hitting the other Ginetta really should give that position back, but we know what Remy Fernie's like. He doesn't tend to yield to other drivers, and even when he's in the wrong, he's made a mistake there, and Aberdeen will probably be putting that one in. No doubt about that. Tordop, meanwhile, only 11th place at the minute, as Clouden has gone green. So see where all this feeds out. As Startup was one of the early ones to go through. So now we are on board with Matthew Duffin, who's got a little bit of a train behind him. He's got Skunky and Wright behind him. Luckily for Duffin, that Mercedes-Benz is very good in a straight line, so that Ginetta is going to struggle to stick with it. But he's doing his very best to do so, though. Meanwhile, Skunky did get a little bit closer to Carlos, but he's now decided to pit, which is probably a good idea. Oh, and Fernie just goes over the curb a little bit too much onto the grass, and Wright decides to pit, uses his opportunity to try and get into some clean air. Down the main straight, there you go, Duffin. They're safe for now as he pulls away. O'Reilly, though, sets the fastest lap of the race. Now he's been given that clean air. He's going to look to try and bring the gap down to the leaders, as we've got quite a few cars in the pits. Let's have a look at our early pitters. We've got Clouden ahead of Hibbs, I think. No, Hibbs has got damage, and he's ended up behind Jamal Clouden in the stops. Then we've got Silth and Friedman. Friedman has passed Silth, and Silth opted not to repair the damage. So far, they are your pitters. We'll see where Wright comes in after all this, as will Skunky. We'll stay on board with Jamal Clouden. As he comes up to the final corner, you can see the front end of the car just bouncing about a little bit. Obviously, that's the damage from when he hit the Audi earlier on. And out of the final corner comes Jamal Clouden, and Skunky is already gone green and is off the limiter, and down the road he is. He nearly got done by Wright there. There goes Clouden. And Tordok there just feeds in behind Hibbs, who's a lap down anyway, so Hibbs gives him the space. Meanwhile, Carlos has brought the gap down to Hooper. So Carlos seems to have found a little bit of pace and momentum here at the minute, and is now on the back end of that Camaro. But it's Clarbo still with a healthy gap at the minute ahead of the guys behind, while Duffin at the minute has still got a massive amount of pressure from Fernie. So when these guys pit, they're really going to feed into this close battle that is emerging on the early pitters, as Fernie still looks for an opportunity to find a way past on Duffin. And up to the chicane they go. Matt throwing it into the chicane. He's made a bit of a mess of a run through there, and Fernie will go through. So Clarbo comes into the pits. Hooper goes in with him, as does O'Reilly. So we'll see how this all pans out. Lexi's now coming in. I will have to find out how to pronounce that name, possibly in the break when I can get my translator out. But Skunky, though, your leading pitter, he's ahead of Jamal Clouden, and he obviously was the leading driver, or was in the leading pack. So we'll see how this all pans out, as it now comes down towards the back end of the circuit. Skunky with a couple of laps clean air. Up to the chicane he comes. We've got Stardog on the back of Smith, but he's just dropped back further back. We've got Taylor attacking, tipping. But Clarball, though, has gone green. He's now off the limiter. And where does that put Skunky in all this? He's nowhere near him. He's even dropped behind Hooper as well. There is Hooper. Oh, no, sorry, that is O'Reilly. So Skunky has lost out to O'Reilly as well. So that's not worked out too well for Skunky pitting early. But nonetheless, he's still in a good position. He's still scoring some decent points. And we've got right now attacking Jamal Clouden. Jamal still obviously carrying that damage with him. And how much is that front end affecting his car? Duffin has now gone green, and he's dropped down the order quite significantly amount as well. So Duffin really struggling here at the Nurburgring. But back to the front, Clarball has still got that healthy gap. Oh, I say healthy, it was 3 seconds, it's now 1.7. So Hooper has brought the gap down quite significantly, as O'Reilly's also trying to gain on the front pack as well. Not sure what's happened to Duffin there, because that's a big amount of time to lose. Maybe he's missed his box or something. But yeah, he's just struggling for this moment in time, while O'Reilly is trying to pump in these fast lap times. Fernie comes in, as does Ramsell. So they've now decided to jump to the pits. Clouden still ahead of Wright at the minute, got a comfortable gap. Tordock with that front end damage, holding off McGowan, as Friedman from pit lane has worked himself all the way up to 13th place position, and possibly higher again yet with the pit stops to come. So he's looking good at the minute. We've got Millington now attacking Lexi. A Stardog just behind attacking Smith. He's going to be on the outside as Smith brakes later. Smith now having to deal with the Mercedes-Benz behind him. Oh, Tipping and Taylor still going at it, and Duffin's there as well. So also close battles at the minute. Here's Smith and Stardog. And that Mercedes-Benz should have the straight line against the Aston, especially a wounded Aston at that. As Fernie has now pitted, he's come out behind, I believe that is Tordock. Yes, it is. So Fernie's lost quite a few positions here. So he's dropped behind Tordock, and now he's going to be under the pressure of Ramsell and McGowan. And Chris in the chat with the sad emoji, obviously not going the way that Duffin probably would have wanted. As Stardog goes wide. Duffin has, I think, cleared one of the Ginettas. It is Tipping, who has dropped down the order, as Marshall's in the pits for a while now. Been 4 laps down. But Fernie, and hopefully this will all actually up to date relatively soon. There we go. Clarball still leading this race. And Martin van Montefort. Hey, good evening, everyone. Just tuned in. You're just tuned in to some good racing here at the Nurburgring. And it is Gary Clarball, your leading bronze driver and overall leading driver as well. Obviously, Carlos is now into the pits. He's left it very late, but he has managed to make it into the pits, as now McGowan is trying to get on terms with Friedman. I think Friedman has passed him. As he gets a little bit on the curb there, as that Porsche gets a little bit unsettled. But he gets a good exit out of that right-hander into the fast swooping bend and heading up to the very, very fast chicane. Who's the bravest? It is Friedman. He gains the position on Ramsell, and job done, as Fernie is all over the shot, and he's going to become very compromised to Friedman, who looks up the inside. Oh, and contact made, and Fernie, oh, big damage there. Ramsell's been involved, and Friedman is waiting, and Fernie trying to get going and out of the way. Not sure why he went that way. He's going against the traffic. Oh, he's going in the pit lane. That's why. Oh, and that's very daft. That's very dumb there from Fernie. Very dumb indeed. As he tries to enter pit lane. Friedman, meanwhile, has been waiting for him and decided to get going anyway. But Clarball leads the way, but he's got Hooper, who's brought the gap down, and Carlos has ended up behind them again. But Carlos is going to hope that Hooper gives Gary Clarbo a little bit of a headache. Yes, it's Dutch. It's very difficult to understand. I tried my best. I really tried my best, but even my own English is terrible. I'm dyslexic, so that makes really confuse me. I've watched a lot of BMX racing, so I get used to pronouncing the Dutch names. But Gary Clarbo goes a little bit wide out of the hairpin. That's going to put Hooper into some pressure, but he's on the wrong side of the Schumacher S's and tries to get a good exit. And Hooper now has to go to the outside once again, and Clarbo doing everything that he needs to do to keep that Camaro behind, and he's doing a brilliant job. Oh, he's just made a little bit of a dive there. Oh, and there we go. Hooper's got the run. He's got the exit he needs. He's up the inside. Clarbo, how brave is he going to be? Is he going to keep up the inside? Is he going to send it into the chicane? This is going to be his opportunity to win a race, and he decides to back out of it. And Hooper now leads the race with 2.5 minutes left to go. It is now Carlos's turn, and your championship leader is up into P4 and is now wanting a bit of the action. Never driven GT4 class in ACC. Are the GT cars easier to set up compared to the GT3s? They are indeed, as Carlos now comes down the inside, and Clarbo's just being mugged left, right and centre now. As soon as he lost one place, he lost another, and Carlos gains the position, and through goes O'Reilly as well. Skunky's gone deep into the hairpin, and there we go. Clarbo went from leading the race to now dropping to the back. There's very not much to tweak on some of these cars. I mean, for example, the Maserati doesn't even have traction control or ABS, so you're basically tweaking very little on that. As we see Ramsell and Friedman going at it once again, and to the outside goes Friedman, and Friedman gets that job done, as Ramsell with heavy damage of hitting Fernie earlier on. Oh, as Lexi's up the inside of Archer, Stardog, Millington and Smith, and just slowly creeping onto the back of this squabble will be Duffin as well. So Lexi, brilliant move there, which has now put her up into 15th place position. Oh, and they're all quite close to one another, but they give each other space and respect. Smith goes wide, Millington's up the inside, but and Smith goes all over the grass. Now Duffin's going to be in a great opportunity to try and score some points here. Meanwhile, Tipping is on the back of Starrock, but we go back to this squabble, which Lexi is the lead in one of that. So she's pulled away from Archer, who's dropped down, and he's under some pressure from Stardog. But O'Reilly, meanwhile, is attacking Carlos. Look at the straight line on that McLaren. Very fast in a straight line. As Carlos defends the inside, he's going to fight it hard. And through the chicane goes Carlos. He takes the better line, but he hits the curb quite hard. I think he's going to be under pressure coming out of the final corner as O'Reilly tries to put as much pressure as he possibly can. Hooper, meanwhile, exits the final corner to start his final lap here. And Clarbo has not given up. So if anything happens to the leaders right now, he is in a prime position. Meanwhile, Friedman is now attacking Stilth. He's going to go towards the inside of the chicane, and Stilth has no answer with the damage to that car. Meanwhile, Archer under pressure from Stardog once again, looking to the outside. Does Stardog? I don't think he's going to get the job. Meanwhile, Duffin looking to the outside of Smith. Can he break later? Yes, he can. And he gets really close to the back of Millington. Both of them losing the back ends, but Duffin's going to go up the inside, and job done for him. Meanwhile, O'Reilly has dropped off the back of Carlos. So O'Reilly just losing a bit of momentum. And is now under a little bit of Clarbo, bit under pressure. Toro not really been able to do anything, as the rest of the pack have been relatively even. It has been this fight between Stardog and Archer. Up the inside goes Stardog, and job done for him. Duffin, meanwhile, is still under pressure from Millington, who's looking to try and make an attack back once again on him. As Smith looks up the inside of his fellow Aston Martin driver, but can't get the job done. He does! He goes up the inside of turn 3. Millington will then have the inside for turn 4. But Smith holds it strong around the outside. He will take track limits there. Oh, and Smith just losing out, I think, as Millington and Smith still going at it side by side, and Smith losing out there. Meanwhile, Hooper has driven brilliantly to work his way through the order. He's still got to make it to the end because he's still got Carlos and O'Reilly breathing down his neck. One mistake and these two are back in the pound seat. But I think O'Reilly, with that straight line advantage of the McLaren, could possibly attack Carlos going up to the chicane. We shall see as Carlos defends the inside. Carlos and O'Reilly looks to make the move on the inside, but can't seem to do it and try and force Carlos into a mistake. But we look to your race leader and your race winner. Round 8 of the season, and it is Hooper who is going to win the sprint race. A fantastic job done from him. Carlos is just going to hang in there for P2 ahead of O'Reilly for P3. And then it's going to be Skunky for P4, his best drive yet, with Clarbo in P5, Cloud in P6, with Wright in P7, Tordok P8, losing out in championship points there. Ninth is going to come the way of McGowan, and then you got Hibbs and Wheel who are further down in the order. Aberdeen with a very solid P10 to his name. Friedman is going to come home for 11th place. Meanwhile, Klarbel was your leading bronze driver. He takes that prize and win that one. Wright takes the silver driver. Silt crosses the line in 12th with Ramsell in 13th. Marshall aka Lexi comes home in 14th, then it's Stardog in 15th, Duff in 16th, Millington 17th, 18th is Archer, 19th will be Smith. Johnson now exits the final corner to make it 20th place position. Starrock in 22nd, 23rd will be Tipping. Sarandvor in 24th, Hibbs 25th, Fernie 26th, Wheel in 27th, and Marshall in 28th position. That was the sprint race, and it is Hooper who wins the race, so congratulations to him. We'll be back in a few moments time as we'll be back with your qualifying and your feature race. We'll see you in a few moments time. welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the channel, as we are going to get ourselves back and underway racing once again. And first things first, we are into our 5-minute qualified session. As you can see, it is a massive dart out of pit lane to get a lap time in. These guys are going to be possibly doing into the mid 2 minutes, low 2 minutes, and they've got to try and get themselves as much space as they possibly can. Some drivers opting to stay in pit lane and make sure they actually get one solid clean run lap in. Others are trying to push to try and get 2 laps in. But either way, they all have to try and battle out for track position. Meanwhile, championship standings looks like this. Kieran O'Reilly leads the way. He extends his gap to now 93 points ahead of Tordok. In third is Sylph, fourth is Clouden, and in fifth is Friedman. Hooper gets closer to Friedman in sixth place with that win, with Duffin dropping back in seventh into the clutches of McGowan, who's in eighth, Hibbs ninth, Carlos in 10th, Wright to 11th, and Ramsell in 12th, Leach in 13th with Fernie 14th, Skunky 15th with O'Brien in 16th, Stardog in that 17th place position with Taylor in 18th, Old Sim Racer in 19th with Millington in 20th, Smith in 21st with Goudet 22nd, Piston Pumper Driver of Tipping in 23rd, well, Vesely is 24th, Aberdeen 25th, Unsworth 26th, and Rook in 27th. Johnson in 29th with Clarble 30th, Marston in 31st with Cummings in 32nd, Archer 33rd, Wheel in 35th, and Alexi in 36th. The Jackal is about to be knocked out and unable to win the championship. He is in 37th, and Besson is the first driver to do so, 38th in the championship. Meanwhile, MSA extend their gap over Greasy Bandits in second place, Old School Racers in third, while fourth is SimPlay Racing. Unknown Racing is in fifth, while Quantum Motorsport is in sixth. Cam Racing lose 11 points and they are out of the championship hunt in seventh, with Team Ton in eighth. Blunt Force Racing in ninth, Piston Pumpers in 10th, 11th is Piston Pumpers. Road Runner Motorsports in 12th, Audio Sport in 13th, Star Wolf Racing in 14th, Old Kit Racing in 15th, Lexi's Industries Racing in 16th, and RB GT Team Janetta in 17th place position. That is your championship standings. Martin in the chat saying, will Friedman miss the start again or not? That is the question. I doubt he will this time round, but we've got a few of the guys in the pit lane. I'm going to see if there's anybody on a qualifying ban. From not I can see, so they all should be able to qualify. Excuse me. So let's have a look at who's leading the group of cars. It is Jamal Clouden who's going to be the first one to set a lap time here. And he looked very, very competitive in his Camaro. Can he continue that form on? To go through the S's here. I think I can try and let's have a look, see what lap time he's currently on. 1:11 going through into the final few corners, into the final sector he goes. A bit of a short shift there from Clouden. Not quite got the grip and confidence there. As he now comes up towards the chicane, Marston, Tipping, Wheel, all choosing not to qualify, nor is Johnson, Taylor, Archer. They're all staying in pit lane. But here comes Clouden. And I don't think that timer is right, because no way he's about to do a 1 minute 50 something. And now the final corner, he comes to the line, and he does a 2:04. So that is the lap time to beat, as Duffin goes 8/10. Clouden is lost out to Silth, who has a better lap time there. Clarble crosses the line, he's a little bit off the pace. Hibbs now goes into P3, with Tordok now finding pace and goes fastest, as O'Reilly does a 03.5, a great lap time from him, and it puts him at the front. Meanwhile, Aberdeen goes into 10th. Zdanov has gone into 11th. I'm going to keep getting that wrong every single time, but it's quite entertaining, I think, for the rest of you. Carlos is second off the paces. Millington now goes into 12th. Where is Hooper? He has not put a lap time on the board. Skunky comes into the chicane. Couple of cars ahead of him. He's got right. Oh, didn't mean to do that. But Skunky coming out of the final corner. What's this going to put him? Where is it going to put him? He goes second, so a decent lap time from Skunky there. And the Skunky we've known and missed is back on form. Right is in 11th. Well, Lexi goes slowest of all the lap times. We got the 22. That is Storok, who comes into the final corner and opts to pit. So he is done for this session. Where is Clouden? The number 36 has been taking the fight to O'Reilly. Can he continue that on? He's having a much stronger end to the season. This back half of the season seems to be suiting the Camaro a little bit better. Down the back straight he comes up to the very far chicane now. Chucks it into the chicane. Beautifully done through there. Nice grip. The car looks hooked up. It looks good. It looks quick. Is it quick enough though to take top spot? A top spot. To the line comes Clouden. And he goes P2, 2/10 off in the end. Silth crossing the line. He only goes P4 with that one. Meanwhile, McGowan and Hooper now coming into the final corner as Tordok does not improve. He stays where he is as McGowan goes into P2 and O'Reilly improves his position. Carlos now goes ahead of Tordok. Klarball drops down the order. Here goes Zidane. And he goes into 14th place position. And that is the end of qualifying. And once again, it is O'Reilly who's on pole position. And it's Friedman who goes into P2 right at the very end then. With McGowan in P3, Cloud in P4, Skunky in P5, Silth will start P6, Carlos P7, Tordok down in P8. While Hooper is in P9, Hibbs 10th, Gary Klarball in 11th, Duff in 12th, Wright 13th, 14th is Aberdeen, Zdanov in 15th. Millington in 16th. We've got Lexi then down in 17th place position. Let's have a proper look at the grid order from the helicopter cam. Let's see on the front row is the two drivers of Kieran O'Reilly and Will Friedman taking up the front row. Row 2 we have McGowan and Clouden. Row 3 we have Skunky and Silf. With row 4 is an all Porsche row 4 with Carlos and Tordok. Hooper and Hibbs take up row 5, while Klarball and Duffin are in row 6. Row 7 goes the way of Wright and Aberdeen. Row 8 goes the way of Zandvoort and Millington. Row 9 is Lexi and Marston, while row 10 is Tipping and Wheel. Row 11 is Johnson and Storrock, while in row 12 is Smith and Fernie. Row 13 is Ramsell and Taylor. And the back row of the grid is Archer and Stardog. That is your feature race grid order. We are now waiting for starters' orders. We are waiting to get underway. And while we are doing that, head over to our description where you can see our fantastic sponsors, Design Manchester and Audio Sports as well. Our fantastic sponsors that always help us out here on the channel. And our Design Manchester producers of vinyl graphics, laser engraved gifts, mugs, clothing, and much more, including SimPlay merchandise. Head over to the Facebook page. Audio Sport, manufacturers of VW Transporter, T4 audio solutions and styling products. Head over to www.audiosport.co.uk. Their Facebook link is there as well. And if you do want to be a part of the action here at SimPlay Motorsport, then you head over to the SimGrid, where you can get yourself signed up and a part of the action, which then introduce you into the Discord, where loads of wonderful things happens in the Discord. Also, while you're at it, head over to our social media pages, Instagram, Facebook, I believe we have a TikTok as well and Twitter. Follow those all amazing links. And we're about to get some great action here. Just a reminder as well, the next race of the season will be another night race. 2 night races with a day race in between them, but the next night race of the season is at the Red Bull Ring, the next race of our championship. And then we come to a very interesting end to the season with some very, very tricky circuits to finish off. So after Nurburgring, we then head to Red Bull Ring for our next night race, followed by round 10 will be our next British circuit, which is Autumn Park. Watkins Glen will be round 11, and then our final race of the season, the home of SimPlay Motorsport, that is Donington Park. And that always seems to deliver a great round nonetheless. But Nurburgring already given us some dramatic racing. Who is going to be top dog tonight? That is the question. As the drivers now try and get themselves up to pressure and temperature. Friedman really wanting to show his tent to O'Reilly. He's like, look man, I'm coming for you. It's going to be one of the more difficult races for you. I'm going to really push you to the limit. McGowan's there as well, as is Clouden. So we should see some great racing from the top half. Like you see there, a lot of drivers just trying to avoid the marbles, to not get their tyres dirty. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Round 8 of the season, race 16, the feature race. It is McLaren versus Porsche, O'Reilly versus Friedman, and we now wait for the green call from the starter. We are green and go, racing here at the Nürburgring. As you can see there, Jamal Clouden has had a decent start. As we just drop a little bit further back into the pack so we can see what is going on as we head down towards turn number 1. And it is all relatively clean and sensible into turn number 1. No silly incidents, a couple of cars running wide, but more or less everyone making a decent start there. Archer has ended up in the pits and has got going. But Archer failing to make the start of this race. But we are green and racing here, and O'Reilly leads the way ahead of Friedman, ahead of Clouden, who's jumped McGowan at the start, and Clouden sticking to the leaders at the moment as the MSA boys right in a little bit of a fight. As we see there, Duffin is having a fight with the new boy, Zavandor, and he goes up the inside. Job done for Duffin. And then they all just fall into place. And we see there, Aberdeen, I think that was, he made a slight mistake there. Yes, Aberdeen just going a little bit wide and got caught up behind a few of the cars. But there we go, the first couple of corners done, and Millington already up the inside of Aberdeen, job done. But it's O'Reilly leading the way. And Clouden just behind the top 2 as well, as Friedman has a great run through the S's and is all ready to give Riley a hard time. He looks to the outside. He's going to be brave to try and do it around there, but he's not going to do so. Clouden, meanwhile, still defending from McGowan, who's now suddenly got a spring in his chicken there. And down the inside goes Hooper on Skunky, and Skunky just about gives him enough racing room, but Hooper not able to get the run that he needed. O'Reilly, though, holds on to the lead with that McLaren giving him such great straight line advantage. Clobbering that curb, though. And Friedman goes a little bit wide. Oh, and there goes Clouden. He makes a mistake, possibly taking a bit too much curb as he's trying to get the car going once again, but he has to try and return back on track without causing any carnage, and he's trying his very best, but his own silly mistake there, and that's released now McGowan to try and go after the top 2. Meanwhile, Carlos is on the attack as Silth, and Hooper is already looking up the inside of Skunky, and Tordok thought about it, but can't quite get enough alongside. Meanwhile, Clark having another fantastic drive here. He's splitting the guys, the silver guys at least, as Duff is dropped behind Hibbs. But some great racing here. And Friedman there, right underneath the back wing of O'Reilly. And there you can see Friedman biting at the opportunity to try and find a way through. And that's just allowing McGowan to get closer, and the rest of the pack. Look at the run that Friedman got. That Porsche with brilliant traction is already onto the back of the McLaren, but can't do nothing with it because the McLaren is so mighty. Meanwhile, further back, Duffin is still trying to keep the terms with Hibbs and Klarbel. Right, it's being chased by Sedanvor, with Millington just behind them. Aberdeen, Fernie from Ramsell, Marshall, Clouden has got going as Lexi's dropped down the order. Who else has dropped down the order? We've got Wheel down there as Lexi's who's made her own mistake. But relatively clean. Most cars are not a lot of damage. Excuse me. But we go on board once again with O'Reilly, who's just got a train of cars behind him. But we see there McGowan having to defend actually from Sylph. The little Ginetta going for an attack on the big Mercedes-Benz. Much better on the brakes with Sylph there, and he's right on the back wing of him. Can he look to go up the inside? No, he cannot. And McGowan just holds on as once again Friedman has some great traction and great corner speed, but once he gets onto the straight, that McLaren just pulls away and he loses out. Sylph sets fastest lap of the race. Really close fights at the minute. Oh, Klarbel's made a mistake. He's now gone over the curb a little bit too hard, and he's dropping down the order rapidly. Where was Clouden after all that little error? I can't find him. There he is, 17th place position. So he's got himself back into the top 20 at least. But a silly little error from him has put him down the order. Oh, and you can see there, once again, O'Reilly just struggling in the tight, twisty stuff. And that's just giving Friedman a little bit of confidence in the corners. Late braking, try and get up the inside of the McLaren, but he's going to have to try and do it in a tight, twisty section. So he can't use that straight line. Meanwhile, McGowan has got a row of MSA drivers. He's got Silt, Carlos, Hooper, and Skunky and Tordock all close to one another. So this is going to be a great little fight towards the end of this first stint. Obviously, the pit window will be opening at the halfway stage. But meanwhile, O'Reilly and Friedman trying to pull away. Let's look further back as we go to Danville at the minute, under pressure from Millington. I keep forgetting to do a poll today, guys. I don't know what is wrong with me. So I'll get a feature race poll going as I try and keep an eye on what's going on. As you see there, Millington making a mistake. He is under pressure, and through goes Aberdeen. Job done for him. I'll try and do this as quickly as I possibly can. I'm trying to spell people's names and type them correctly. As there, Zdanvor is still under some big pressure here from the little Ginetta. We see a bit of dirt kicked up. I can't spell Friedman's name. That's going brilliantly. So at the minute, it is looking very strong for O'Reilly out front. And now Skunky sets fastest lap of the race. We'll have to go back to McGowan because he is the kind of the cork in the bottle at the minute. As Duffin has cleared Wright, so Wright drops down the order a little bit more. But McGowan is this train at the minute that everyone's struggling to find a way through at the minute. And down into the far end of the circuit. Sylph thought about the inside then, was not close enough to really do anything with that. Just a sneaky look, just trying to get McGowan to just look in his mirrors a bit more. Motorsport. You see there your sprint winner Hooper, meanwhile, trying his hardest to try and find a way through as well. Meanwhile, O'Reilly is starting to create a bit of a gap. 7/10 is now to him and Friedman, but Friedman will get his head together and probably try and creep onto the back of him. At the minute, no real movement going on here as we try and look further back, as Danvor is still under pressure from Aberdeen. Millington, what has happened to him? He's dropped behind Fernie, Ramsell, and we see there just in the background, Clouden is a man on the move as well. Marston comes up to 10th. Clarble now 19th. Smith, Johnson, Taylor, Stardog, Will, Lexi, Tipping, and Archer pretty much brings your order. But there we see O'Reilly losing a bit of momentum, and Friedman once again in the middle sector gets closer. Meanwhile, Fernie is being passed by Millington there, and Millington goes deep into the chicane, so Fernie's going to lose out, and through goes Clouden. Will he gain another position on Millington? That is the question, but Friedman has brought the gap down. Still cannot find a way past on McGowan, and this is just bringing everyone else back into play. So McGowan still the cork in the bottle. I think if it was any other car, McGowan might have been in a little bit of trouble, but that Ginetta with a poor straight line speed compared to the rest of the cars around him just seems to be able to, he's mighty in the corners, but when he gets there, there's no real threat to the Mercedes-Benz. So we got Hibbs and Duffin just starting to slowly but creepily get onto the back of these guys. Where is Duffin? Hibbs, Duffin, and Wright all having their own little squabble. We got Clouden now, who's looking to try and make a move on Millington, and Fernie has gone off, and that's going to lose him time and momentum. And here we got Johnston, Smith, and Taylor also banging doors and going at it. So some great racing all the way up and down the order as O'Reilly has lost the lead of the race. Will Friedman has taken the lead of the race. The Porsche now leads ahead of O'Reilly, ahead of McGowan, ahead of Sills. So nothing's really changed behind there, but O'Reilly made a critical mistake, I think, and has now lost out to Friedman. So can now O'Reilly bring that gap back down to Friedman? And Duffin there has also dropped back behind Wright. So Matthew Duffin just not able to stick with the leading pack. He's kind of with the Hibbs Wright kind of group at the minute. But even O'Reilly's now starting to drop into the clutches of McGowan, who's just doing a brilliant job at the minute, just holding off Silf, who's breathing down his neck. But look, the Ginetta can't do anything to the Mercedes-Benz here. If anything, it's Carlos looking at Silf now. The Silf does get much closer in the corners. You can see him get competitively close here. Look, he just gets onto the back of the leading cars really well. And he's able to take so much more curb than McGowan. But McGowan seems to have good traction there, and he just pulls away from the Ginetta once again. But Friedman now leads the way with a healthy lead of 1.6 over O'Reilly, and O'Reilly kind of needs to get himself back into a rhythm here. Tordok is still holding strong with the guys in front, but Hibbs is starting to creep onto the back of him. Stanoff, meanwhile, is in 12th, and he's got Aberdeen or Ramsell breathing down his neck. And Millington has now lost out to Clouden, and Clouden now looks to try and move his way further up. No real change anywhere else at this stage of this race. But as they come up towards the far end of the circuit once again, O'Reilly just trying to stick with Friedman, but Friedman seems to be in a bit of a groove at the minute. He said he hasn't practiced much. He literally did the first couple of laps, and that was his practice pretty much done. And you can see the pace and confidence that he has in the Porsche around here. Meanwhile, Hooper is now attacking Carlos. Carlos has made a mistake. Hooper is now going to go on the attack. We'll go on board with Skunky to see how this unfolds. Carlos defends the inside. Hooper's going to have to try and get a better run. He bounces all over the curb. But no job doing there. So Carlos, if anything, has hindered these guys a little bit from the leading group, and Tordok has caught them back up again. Aberdeen once again under some pressure from Ramsel. And there I think we'll start to see the straight line of the Aston Martin. Yeah, you can see Ramsel just pulling and pulling and pulling. Oh, they're going to miss their brakes and hits Zdanov, no. Aberdeen and Ramsel somehow managing not to hit the back of the Mercedes drivers while they were busy racing. And Ramsel just has to fall back into position there. Meanwhile, back to the front, McGowan still seems to be able to keep Silk behind him. It's Carlos now who's the one under pressure. Wright is actually catching Hibbs as well. So Hibbs looking in his rear view at the Alpine. But Skunky is looking very interested onto the back of Hooper. Ramsel now pulls out to the slipstream of the Ginetta, and Aberdeen having a brilliant race, to be fair. He's looking very good in that Ginetta, really sticking with the guys around him. And there in the background you can see Jamal Clouden trying to recover. Imagine what he would have been able to do if he was with the leading group. As Starrock looks down the inside of Starrock. Can't quite get the nose underneath. He's going to do so now. Starrock is going to be on the outside, and luckily there's not a long enough straight for that Mercedes-Benz to get himself up to pace. And Starrock holds on to that position. So now McGowan's pulled away from Silth. See, McGowan tends to do this from races. He seems to just be a little bit slow at the beginning of the race, but as it then develops, he seems to then find pace and confidence and starts to come back at the guys again. So O'Reilly now losing pace to Friedman, who sets fastest lap of the race. And still Carlos under pressure from Hooper. Hooper gets quite close to the back of Carlos there. Can't seem to do anything with that pace. Oh, here comes, though, Aberdeen and Ramsel to the outside of the Mercedes driver. Oh, he bounces over the curb quite a bit. That's going to give the opportunity for Aberdeen up the inside. Oh, they make contact there. Zdanov has to go wide. And Aberdeen does get the job done. And here comes Clouden around the outside of Ramsel, but he goes too deep into the corner. And Zdanov been passed by Ramsel now, and he's going to get mugged by Clouden as well, I think. Yes, he will. And down the inside goes Jamal Clouden. Another position gained for him. Meanwhile, we'll go back to this fight between Carlos, Hooper and Skunky, with Tordok just on the tail end of these guys. So now it's Carlos, who's a bit of a trolley train at the moment. But McGowan knows, starting to just eke away from Silth with quite a bit of confidence. Carlos can't go with Silth, so he's too busy having to defend from Hooper and Skunky behind him. And there you can see that Camaro just ever so slightly pulling in on the Porsche. And there you can see Hooper's got so much confidence going into the S's. That Camaro just absorbs the curve, and Carlos has made a mistake. He's gone wide. That's going to give the opportunity to Tordok. Sorry, not Tordok, to Hooper. But he's not had a good exit. He's not had a good run. And Carlos is going to have to defend the inside. Hooper's going to look to the outside of the turn one. He'll have the inside for then the next corner, but he's going to make himself vulnerable to Skunky. And Skunky's going to go up the inside, but he's going to be on the outside of turn two. Carlos doing a brilliant job of not cracking under the pressure here. And Hooper just sitting there, hoping to try and get it right. And he's got a good exit here. But once again, he's going to be on the outside of the left-hander. The 35 has got a drive through for track limits. We'll find out who that is as pit window has now opened. And Hooper goes around the outside of turn 5. Can Carlos goes around the outside of turn 6. He'll get a better traction. He'll get better exit. No, he won't, because Hooper's got the job done. And here now comes Skunky. Skunky going to try and go around the outside of the hairpin. Carlos defends the inside. And Skunky trying to use the banking to go all the way around, but he's ended up in the marbles. And there Skunky has to try something else. Tordog, meanwhile, is right behind him. Oh, they all touch the gravel a little bit, and that's giving Tordog a great run on Skunky. Skunky has to defend. 35, who was that? I think it was Lexi. Yes, it was. Lexi gets track limits, and Tordog went around the outside of Skunky. But now Tordog's going to get held up by Carlos, and Carlos and Tordog going to go side by side, and Skunky is right behind them. Here comes Skunky. He's to the outside of the S's. Oh, it's going to be tight, but Carlos and Tordog go through the S's. Beautiful driving, and Tordog decides to pit and get out of the way. Indeed, that was brilliant racing from those guys. Now Skunky, though, probably wish he was that car who pitted, because now he's still stuck behind Carlos. Hooper has already dropped them by 2 seconds, so Hooper already pulling away from Carlos. Well, you got Hibbs and Wright just behind them. Duffin, again, not really got any pace to show for the minute. Meanwhile, Millington is under pressure from Fernie. And Johnson, meanwhile, is attacking Starrock. Out of final corner, that McLaren, very good in a straight line. But Johnson can't get onto terms with Starrock. So you have to wait a little bit longer. Meanwhile, Skunky is still trying to pressurize Carlos. Skunky has now got to start be thinking about his race with Tordog, because Tordog's now pitted. That's now open an opportunity for an undercut for Tordog. And while this is all going on, you've got Hibbs and Wright slowly but surely creeping onto this fight as well. Tordog has now come out of the pits just ahead of some traffic as well, so that worked out relatively well for him. But you can see there Skunky trying everything he possibly can to find a way through on Carlos. And Millington and Fernie still fighting out with Gary Clarble. Gary Clarble looking for an opportunity, looks to the inside. He's not quite got the run on Fernie, so he has to wait a little bit longer. Meanwhile, Skunky once again gets a little bit closer to Carlos, and in fact, he's now opting to pit, so he is reacting to what Tordog has done. O'Reilly, meanwhile, has brought the gap down ever so slightly to Friedman, but I think Friedman at this stage of this race is just being conservative and holding off, as Hibbs and Duffin both come into pit lane. Right over that first curve, he enters the pit lane as Clarble also enters pit lane. And there we see Starrock. Stardog has got past Smith here as they go through the S's, and there once again is the McLaren of Johnson, and into the pits comes Starrock. I mean, you got Will, Wheel and Archer. They come down towards the far end of the circuit. Meanwhile, we've got Tordog in clean air. Where is Skunky? He's still in the pits at the minute. There's Hooper as well. We've got to keep an eye on. Skunky has gone green. Hooper hasn't. Where do we see the drivers? Do we see him come out of pit lane? Tordog, with that one lap of clean air, has done exactly what he needed to do. And out of pit lane he goes. A brilliant strategy there from Tordog, well thought out, and he jumps a a handful of the guys. I think Skunky's changed tyres because he's now dropped behind Hibbs as well. So Hibbs with a very good pit stop there. Hooper, I think, also changed tyres as well because Hibbs is really now caught onto the back of these two.
We are at the halfway mark, still a long way to go.
So Friedman now comes into the chicane. And he's got a healthy lead at the minute. We're at the halfway stage of this race. Majority reckon that Will Friedman's going to win this one. And both leaders come into pit lane. That's going to allow McGowan and Silth. No, McGowan continues to come into pit lane as well. So it's Silth who will take the lead of this race. And we will end the poll there. 3 votes going away of Friedman. And down the main straight goes Silth. So after pit stops, Klarbel has ended up behind, he was behind Millington, but he's ended up dropping down the order a bit. Or is the pit stops just updating a little bit? Duffin has cleared Archer. So at the minute, until other cars come into pit lane to see the gaps close up, we will see how this all pans out. We've got Friedman and O'Reilly in pit lane. We've got McGowan as well and Wright. So we'll see where all these guys are going to feed in. Will Friedman has gone green, as will O'Reilly pretty shortly. There he goes. Into the final corner comes Tordok with that clean air that he got. Pulled out a brilliant strategy. Is it going to work again? Because McGowan has only now gone green. He's now coming down the straight. Oh, this is going to be tight between him and Tordok. Down the straight they go. Where is Tordok? There he is. McGowan and Tordok go down into the hairpin, and McGowan's going to miss his brakes by a country mile. And Tordok was given that position, and now Silth with clean air. What can he do? Because Tordok has gone for the undercut. It's worked an absolute treat. But what can he do now with the clean air of Silth? Can he do the overcut? Now he's got the clean air. He's been stuck behind McGowan for a while. Can he get the jump? Meanwhile, Hooper is attacking McGowan straight away. Looking to go around the outside. He's got hotter tyres, and obviously the GT4s do not have tyre blankets, so they are freezing cold tyres. And Hooper, a little flash of lights. So obviously he's not too happy with that little shove that McGowan's just given. But Friedman now ahead of Tipping, ahead of O'Reilly. So O'Reilly didn't really gain much out of that. He's ended up with a back marker between them. Millington and Aberdeen still going at it, with Stardog and Klarbel also quite close to one another. We now wait for the leaders to come in, and in comes Jamal Cloud, and Carlos is in as well. And Zanavor is in as well. Or Fernie can't make his mind up if he wanted to pit or not. But Silth now with clean air. Is he now pumping in some decent lap times? That is the question. O'Reilly now passes Tipping. A little bit too close to comfort for my liking anyway. And Hooper once again can't seem to find an opportunity to capitalise on McGowan. He's very confident through the chicane. Probably a little bit too confident. That the car just shook way too much. And Carlos now hasn't even gone green. He has now gone green. I think he's going to lose out quite a bit here. He's going to possibly end up with Skunky, possibly. They go down the straight there. Carlos has been released. Where is Skunky? There he is. He's not quite got him, but he's got Hibbs instead for company. Can Hibbs go around the outside to have the inside for turn 2? He's not quite close enough. It's Carlos dropping into that kind of a group of cars. Jamal Clouden dropped behind Duffin in the end, but ahead of Millington more importantly. So he has made a couple of places there. So Jamal Clouden on a decent recovery drive. Silf now has to pit. Into pit lane he comes. And Marsden, oh, this is going to be very touch and go for Marsden. Very touchy. I don't even think he's going to make it. No, he's not. Down the back straight he goes. He is going to get a penalty.
Pit window is now closed.
The pit window has now closed. Down the back straight they go. Hooper still onto the back of McGowan. Meanwhile, Carlos did have Hibbs for company, but instead Skunky is giving Hibbs a bit of a hard time as they come up towards the S's. Over the chicane they go. And if anything, Carlos had a poor run through there. And Skunky gets real close to the back of Hibbs, and Hibbs runs a little bit wide. And Skunky will have to try and get into the slipstream. Down the main first straight they go, and Skunky can't get the run he needs. McGowan, meanwhile, still ahead of Hooper, but they've caught Tordok ever so slightly as well. So let's have a quick run through with 16 minutes left to go of this race. Silth has ended up still behind Friedman, but he has jumped Tordok and Hooper and Carlos. And once these are all up to date, Marston's staying in pit lane, so it's going to be complicated. But it is Friedman who leads the way at this stage, with O'Reilly in second. Third is Silth, and while in fourth place is Tordok. Fifth will be the way of McGowan. Sixth is Hoopert. Seventh will be Carlos, and is pulled away from Hibbs, who's got his own troubles. As actually, no, he's lost out to Skunky. So Hibbs is now dropped to 9th. Wright is in 10th. While Duffin will move up to 11th place position. Clouden will then move up to 12th. 13th is Millington. 14th is Aberdeen, while Fernie is in 15th. So Nanoff will be in 16th place position, with Ramsel in 17th. 18th is Taylor. 19th will be Stardog. Clarball will be 20th. 21st is Smith. 22nd is Starrock. Johnson 23rd. Tipping 24th. Archer 25th. Wheel 26th. 27th is Alexi, and Marston has come to a stop in pit lane. Meanwhile, Silth is under some immense pressure because he's got very, very powerful cars breathing down his neck. He's got Tordok, McGowan, Hooper all hunting him down. Right, meanwhile, is on to the back of Hibbs. And then Aberdeen still attacking a minute. Oh, as he's made a mistake there, goes a little bit off. We've got Hibson right here, battling it out for the best silver driver at the minute. Trying to be best of the rest, or the mid-pack. Hibson just trying to do his very best to defend from Matt Wright at the minute, who seems to be in quite a little bit of a groove in that Alpine. Meanwhile, Tordok has lost time to Silf. He is now under more pressure from McGowan and Hooper, and McGowan gets real close to the back of the Porsche driver. Into the hairpin we go. You see there, Tordok just a big lift through there, maybe the way. Oh, and he's into the gravel. That's going to make him under pressure. He's going to make a mistake as McGowan wants the inside, but he can't make his mind up where he wants to go. And Tordok holds off McGowan just by the skin of his teeth. Tordok struggling at this stage now. He had a brilliant strategy, but possibly without those tyre change, he's now under pressure. Down the back straight, in the slipstream, McGowan, Tordok and Hooper. Around the outside, can McGowan get it done in the chicane? Now, it could be brave if he does, but Hooper has some great confidence through the chicane. So much so, he nearly had a look up the inside of McGowan. McGowan had to defend the inside, and that's just let Silth scot-free at the minute. He's pulled away, and now Carlos is now starting to come onto the back of these guys once again. So 12.5 minutes still left to go of this race. It is all still to play for 4th, 5th, and 6th. Down to the hairpin we go. Tordock holding off McGowan. But McGowan's up the inside. A bit of a door rub. McGowan gets the job done as Tordock loses a position there. Tri-limits for the 663, and Tordock's now lost out to Hooper. Is Hooper going to get the job done? Yes, he is. And here comes Carlos as well. So Carlos is now onto the scene. Johnson gets a drive through. Great GT4 action from those boys. And there we see Carlos looking up the inside of Tordock. That's how much Tordock is struggling at this stage. Just seems to have no answer to the guys around him. Meanwhile, Wright is back on Hibbs once again. And Clouden is catching Matthew Duffin towards the end. And once again, the GT4s, they take a while to warm up, but once they do, racing action always happens. Johnson's in pit lane. He clears his drive-through, he gets going once again. But once again, McGowan is having to look in his rear-view mirror because he's got Hooper hunting him down once again. Can these two work together to catch Silth and try and get themselves onto a podium position? Through the chicane they go, and once again Hooper has a brilliant run through there, and once again McGowan has to defend the final corner. McGowan now getting a tow from Lexi. Lexi possibly wants to make sure she gets right out of the way of this scrap because they are fighting hard. And Hooper looked to go around the outside, but Lexi was there, and Lexi makes sure she tries way out of the way. She goes onto the outside of the circuit. Brilliantly done, and allows the fighting cars to go through. Oh, McGowan there, just holding off Hooper. Oh, the back end just a little bit twitchy there. Hooper may have an opportunity, but he took too much curb, and bouncing over the curb he goes. Meanwhile, Wright has got the job done on Hibbs, and Duffin now under pressure from Jamal Clouden. What other fights are going on at the minute? But at the minute, 10 minutes left to go this race. It is Friedman leading the way from O'Reilly in second, Silth in third, with McGowan in fourth, Hooper fifth, Tordock sixth, seventh is Carlos, eighth is Skunky, ninth is now Wright, will be 10th is Hibbs, Duffin in 11th with Clouden in 12th, Millington 13th with Aberdeen in 14th, Fernie 15th, 16th, Ramsell, Zdanov in 17th, 18th is Taylor, 19th is Stardock, Clarvall 20th, Smith 21st, 22nd is Starrock, 23rd is Tipping, Johnson 24th, 25th is Archer. Wheel is off with major damage, and Lexi's going to gain out of that as well. Oh no, 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 no! What on earth are you doing, Wheel? Jamal Clouden, after a brilliant recovery, hits Will. He's got damage to the front end of his car, and through will go Millington, Aberdeen, and possibly Fernie as well. Will returns to pit lane, and Clouden with major damage to the front end of that car. That is his night ruined. Meanwhile, back to the front, McGowan and Hooper. Down the inside goes Hooper. Is that the job done? No. McGowan turns in, and Hooper is still there, and Hooper losing out. Meanwhile, what has happened to Carlos? There's Carlos. He's got damage to his car. So Carlos there Not sure what's happened to him. He's ended up dropping down the order. He's got Wright and Hibbs ahead of him. He's going to have Duffin possibly hunting him down later on as well. But McGowan holding off Hooper there, but Skunky now putting pressure on Tordok. What on earth just happened there? Wheel just returning back to Cloud, and now did manage to get the car back to the pits. But absolutely outrageous stuff there from Wheel. Meanwhile, Skunky still trying to put pressure on the back of Tordok and Hooper now, who are both struggling. As I will get a driver of the day poll going for you guys. It's nice to see Skunky having a good night's worth of racing. He's been struggling in the GT4s and in GT3s, but he's really come alive here tonight and is putting some pressure on the leading cars. Well, I was getting myself driver of the day ready to post up for you guys to decide who you think will deserve that one. Meanwhile, Millington is still being pressured by Aberdeen behind. Fernie and Ramsell now joining the party. And Taylor now just getting ahead of Zanoff there and gets a position there. Stardog also in the middle of this fight. Gary Klarbel trying to fight hard with these guys also. And Jamal Clouden has come back out. So props to Clouden to actually continuing on racing, because it is very difficult at that stage as a driver to, you feel defeated, especially towards the end of the race. You've done all the hard work, especially after a poor race start from him as well. It's not worked out for Clouden, but he's trying his absolute best just to bring it home. So Taylor now is ahead of Zanaf as well. He's lost out to Starlock and Klarbel, so they've got ahead of him. Archer now attacking Johnson. So Johnson with that drive through earlier on has affected him, and he's dropped down the order as we've got a poll out for driver of the day. So guys, get your votes in on that one. Meanwhile, Duffin has caught Carlos, and he's going to look to the outsides of Carlos. Carlos with that front end damage, he's pretty much walking wounded. And you're going to see it down this back straight now. Duffin in the slipstream. Should easily outdo the Porsche. Around the outside he goes, and job done for him. Carlos down into 11th place position. Whatever has caused that damage is obviously affecting him massively. Meanwhile, Skunky once again within 3/10 of Tordok. He gets close, he gets very close, nearly into the back of him there. And Skunky driving brilliantly at the minute, trying to find a way through. But he's right on to the back of Tordok. Wright is just quietly mind his own business and is just outside of these two. So if these two come together, there's definitely an opportunity to score points there for him. Last lap of the race has still gone the way of Will Friedman. He's quite comfortable out in front. We'll come back to those two momentarily because we've got this fight going on. And what has happened to Duffin? He's now got major damage to his car. And Duffin nearly wanting to stop them, but he knows for a fact that he'll get a qualifying ban. What on earth has happened to Duffin there? He's all over the grass now. So this race has just gone from bad to worse. Is there any cars around with damage? Not that I can see. So, I don't know if Duffin's just had his own moment or something like that, but Duffin dropping down the order. Meanwhile, Skunky and Torok still going at it, and they've actually caught Hooper once again. So Hooper's possibly made some form of error or mistake, and he's really abusing that curb. So Hooper now having to look into the rear view of the cars behind. That is Torok, Skunky, and once again, I have to say, Wright is hanging in there in his little Alpine bug. Is just sticking with the leading pack. I do think we'll have another lap after this one. Will Friedman pretty much heading into he's in the penultimate lap at the minute, but this fight between Skunky and Torok has been absolutely brilliant to watch. Aberdeen has to pit. He's obviously low on fuel. Meanwhile, Ramsell is attacking Fernie. So Fernie now looking like he's under a little bit of pressure from the Aston Martin driver. The two Cam Racing duos are being split by Fernie at the minute. He looks to turn one. Is Fernie going to make the brakes? He's going to go deep, I think. Yes, he is. And Ramsell not close enough then to really capitalise, but he did make him think. Duffin is still going now. He's got damage to his car, but he has still carried on going. Torok once again gets close to Hooper, and Skunky's not quite close enough to him now, so Skunky's actually dropped off a little bit. But where is Friedman? There he is. He will start another lap, so we've got one more lap to go here at the Nurburgring. And Fernie, meanwhile, under pressure from Ramsell as well. So once again, GT4s all gets exciting right at the very end, as anything and everything is happening. Oh, Torok gets onto the dirt there. That's lost him a little bit of momentum. Matt Wright just creeping onto the back of these two just at the very end. But it's not going to be enough. I think he's going to miss out. As if anything happens between these three, he is in for a good opportunity of points. But McGowan just dropped these guys quite easily as well, as Fernie still under pressure from Ramsell. Leader is on his final lap. Ramsell, meanwhile, is trying to attack Fernie. Up towards the chicane they come. Oh, too much curve for both of them. They both become unsettled. Ramsell a little bit better through there. Meanwhile, Hooper's still got the trio of cars behind him, and Wright has caught them. Wright has joined the party now, right at the very end of this race. Hooper ahead of Torok, ahead of Skunky. Oh, and Fernie's facing the wrong way. What has happened to Fernie? He's only going to lose out to Ramsell, I think, because Taylor's not quite close enough. He's going to hang in there, but Fernie has dropped down the order even more. But your race leader now, coming into the final few corners. Archer just ahead. Will get out of the way of the leader. Will Friedman, though, not quite lights the flag, but he set fastest lap of the race. He has been utter dominant in this race too. Will Friedman going into the final quarter. He is going to take another race win to his name. Will Friedman wins the feature race here at the Nürburgring. Congratulations to him. O'Reilly's going to come home for a solid P2. Silth with a brilliant drive in the end for P3. He now comes towards the line. Silth for P3. Job done for him. McGowan in the end hanging on for that P4 position. And Hooper defends off Oh, no, he doesn't. He gives the position to Tordok. Hooper then goes into 6th. Skunky 7th. Wright in 8th. Hibbs with a great drive for 9th. Meanwhile, Wright wins the silver category. He comes ahead of Hibbs, who takes 2nd in that class. Carlos in P10, all on his own at the minute. He's now into the final corner. He exits the final corner now. So Carlos, in the end, finishing in 10th place position. Millington is going to round off the silver podium. He's got Ramsell breathing down his neck right at the very end there. So it's Millington ahead of Ramsell for 11th and 12th overall. Taylor is going to hang on against Fernie and Stardock and Clarball here. It is going to be Taylor with 13th. Brilliant drive from Taylor today. Fernie in 14th, Stardock in 15th, Clarball in 16th. Zanoff in 17th place position. Duffin is just going to hang in there for 18th place position. No, he's not. He's allowing Smith through. Smith gains 18th place position. And Duffin comes to the line for a 19th place position. Starrock in the end will come home for 20th just at the end, as tipping gives him a little bit of pressure there. Aberdeen's going to finish in 22nd, Archer 23rd, Clouden 24th, Lexi 25th, Wheel 26th. But Gary Clarball winning the bronze ahead of Zanafo against Smith as well. But it's Will Friedman who is your race winner here. We just wait for Aberdeen to cross the line and job done from him. What an interesting night's worth of racing. We've had 2 different winners. We've had Hooper ring the sprint, and we had Will Friedman come home for the win in a feature race. It has been brilliant racing nonetheless here at SimPlay Motorsport. As while I'm at it, I'm just gonna I want to have a look at the replay myself and see what exactly happened earlier on in the race between some of these drivers. But it has been brilliant to watch nonetheless. And yeah, hit that like button, guys, and subscribe to the channel, because it has been great racing once again for the GT4s. And next up for them in the championship will be at the Red Bull Ring, our 2nd night race of the season. And who is going to come out on top of that one? Still yet to come this week as well. We have got, obviously, the Pro-Am tomorrow night. That is going to bring you all the action. Is Lexi. She'll be bringing you all the action for that one. So make sure you tune in for that, as the Pro-Ams do race pretty hard. And it gives some great action on your screen. Then on Thursday night, Kelly Davis and Matthew Duffin, Sweet and Sticky in your box, returning to the pros, and we'll see how they all get on with a grid that's a lot smaller, and it's getting smaller and smaller as each race goes by. But it is still who's looking very comfortable at the minute in the championship, although Tordok is hunting him down as quickly as he possibly can. But that is that. I am just now waiting to see how soon the tables have been updated. I think they're a work in progress at the minute. Or not. But anyway, I'm going to leave that as it is. It's been great nonetheless. Regarding driver of the day, there's only 4 votes that have gone in, and it's been the split of Friedman and Skunky. I'm going to break that split by saying Skunky, for me, is driver of the day. He drove absolutely brilliantly, and it's been brilliant to watch him racing tonight. But in the end, Kieran O'Reilly does extend his championship lead and pulls away from the rest of the guys in this championship. We'll see you next time in the GT4s at the Red Bull Ring, but it's going to be Lexi bringing you the action tomorrow night in the Pro-Am. Make sure you tune in for that one. This has been SimPlay Motorsport. This has been the GT4s. Good night.